Okay.
But so let's see if the connection is working.
No, todavía no voy a poner los lentes. Yes.
I have an echo.
You have an echo? Are you still in Google Meet?
Yeah, no. Let me see if I have an echo or not. Do you hear me well?
I hear you very well. How are you? You also have headphones.
Okay. It's the okay. I got it, Ilithya. It's the live stream
Live?
that I had it
mute it.
open.
You need to mute it.
Yes, I think
It's
we
okay,
should
but
be.
you need to mute it.
Yes, now
This
it's
has
muted.
happened to me. Okay. So we are live in Twitter right now.
Yes, let me check
In the link that you sent
YouTube.
me. Can you send me the link of YouTube when you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, we are also live on YouTube. Let me share it here.
Mm-hmm. But it's secretly live, right? Because it's not appearing on Twitter. I cannot see it.
I think it will start exactly at the time. It says schedule.
That's why right now it's not showing up. Okay. Because
Probably
I click on the link
not.
that you sent me and it's not opening. And I don't even see it on Twitter like the other time that it was a banner saying...
Yeah, I think it will go live at 12, exactly at 12. So in 5 minutes. Let me show you.
Wrong. But let me check YouTube. Did you send me the link in the meantime?
Yes, it's in the chat.
Okay. Let me see. Oh yeah, I see us. Oh, in there I see
in YouTube.
us.
Okay.
Yes. So give me a moment. I will share that with my followers. Mm-hmm. I will mute myself right now to do a little post, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Fíjate, una pregunta or a question, since in case somebody's listening. So when I joined the YouTube stream, because I have my Google account, I was able to see it, right? And now when I'm checking in my phone, and in my phone I'm not logged in my Google account, then I cannot see. So this means that this live is only available to people who's logged in.
I think that's YouTube settings. Oh wait, why I have this account? Let me ask Fair. Let me check that, Ilithya.
Yeah.
Yeah, so first says she can see it.
Oh yeah, now I can see it. I don't know what happened. Did you do something? Now I see it, but before I couldn't. But this is good because that's what I meant. I think it should be available to people who doesn't log in. But now it works. Over.
Okay,
So I'm
perfect.
gonna mute myself still to post.
Okay. Okay, Ilithya, we are live now on Twitter. Now we can share the links actually.
Just muted myself in case I do talk in here. But yeah, give me a moment. I will be sharing too. Thank you for the patient. 2 more minutes. I'm just waiting for the story to go on this.
All right, for those coming in, we are waiting a bit so more people can tune in. So just give us a couple of minutes and we'll get started. Okay, Ilithya, I think we are almost ready to start. So exciting.
Yes. Coming up. I'm just doing my tweet with the link for my followers.
I see some people on YouTube and some are coming in on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I just posted it on Instagram.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm gonna do
16.
one more post.
16 on
Yeah,
X.
so then it's good. Then more people is joining as I'm sharing, because I have another. I will share in threads. I have other followers in threads that are not in the other social media. If you don't mind.
Yeah, you have too many channels. That's great. I've seen your Instagram and it's fantastic, Ilithya. And I think you are also active on Threads. I'm not very active there, to be honest. Instagram a little bit. I'm more active on X and on Farcaster recently.
That one I am not, for example, because I'm not so much into blockchain. But I've heard from all my artist friends in blockchain that they're there with you.
Trying to find the best setup so I can read the chat while doing this. Let's see. So for those tuning in, we are just sharing on our social media and we just sent an email. We are about to get started. Just give us a couple of minutes. By the way, you can already start to ask questions just via Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're tuning in. Just send us a reply. I think there is a chat as well. You can use the chat. I see Richard Gill, who is a longtime fan of Ilithya, and he already purchased the course. He was the first one to collect. He's in the chat. Hello, Richard. Good to see you here.
Yes. Hello, Richard. Thank you so much for purchasing so quickly. By the way, you were the first sale. So
Congrats, Richard. You should get a badge. The first.
yes, I think
First
so.
one.
He's a wonderful follower. He's always watching my stream with Eliza, Curly Minded. So he's from that crowd of our dear Curly Minded fellows. So
Awesome.
I think I'm done. Thank you so much for waiting. I just finished to share in Blue Sky as well, because in Blue Sky I have other followers too.
Awesome. So we're ready to get started. Ilithya, thank you so much for taking the time, and maybe for those that aren't so familiar, we're doing this live stream because we recently released, well, today we released a course about pixel shaders, which is a technology used in different fields. I'm very familiar with it in terms of digital art. So many artists, digital artists, creative coders use shaders, and there are other industries, other areas where they are used, and Ilithya will tell us a bit more about it. Um, and today we're releasing Ilithya's course that we collaborated over the past 3-4 months. A very detailed course about pixel shaders. It has theory, also practical examples, and there are exams. So you can if you pass the exams, you can get a certificate from the Blind Gallery, the Academy by Blind Gallery. So the goal of this live stream is to chat with Ilithya about the whole process and learn what we can learn in this short period of time and answer all the questions you might have. So Ilithya, thanks again. How are you? How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm good. I'm really excited, to be honest, about this release and about this course, because as you said, Hugo and a lot of my followers know, because I've been sharing with them, especially on Instagram, that I was working on this shader course to put it online since April. I think we began to talk about it in the spring. So
Yes.
it's been a long road, even when it's content that I already previously done on in-person workshops over a weekend. That's exactly this course that I prepare. The last time that I gave it here where I live in Hamburg, over the course of 2 days, a Saturday, a Sunday, because since it was quite like 8 hours, I decided to split into 2 days with the people that came to my in-person workshop. And yes, I just got really good feedback ever since. I've been giving other workshops that a lot of my followers, especially on Instagram, they have been asking me for many years if I were gonna teach anything online. Whenever I would say, hey, if you're in Berlin or if you're in Mexico, I'm gonna give an in-person workshop, and then they would always ask me, oh, are you gonna record it? Are you gonna put it online? And so far I never did. And that's why I was glad to team up with you, or with the Academy and the Blind Gallery to do this.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I didn't know the how hard it is to actually put this material together, right? Because well, shaders is a complex topic. You as you mentioned, you were teaching kind of a real life workshops, right? You had the material, but we had to make the adaptations, right, to modify it to be properly experienced digitally, right, in a online setup. And that's what we have been doing over the past 3 months. But before we jump kind of into the deep topics of the course and the more advanced stuff, can you tell us, Ilithya, first, what are pixel shaders, kind of in a short, like for somebody that haven't heard of them, what are pixel shaders, and where are they used? Where do people usually use this technology?
Well, for the ones that are completely new, probably you haven't even heard and you don't know what a shader is. But for the ones that are already doing digital art, or maybe you're a programmer, you have heard of shaders, and you have heard of them as fragment shaders, because this is the most common name that, as is in code, in fact, it's called a fragment. But there's a synonym for it that is pixel. And I like to use, when I introduce people into the shader world, the synonym pixel, because in the end, the shaders, it's just code that we write. And it's when we write the code, we implement different algorithms with mathematics to get the pixels of a mesh into the screen. And what a mesh is because we're working with 3D graphics, so shaders is part of 3D graphics world. The mesh would be our 3D graphic, and the skin, I like to call it, of, for example, a sphere. And what we do with shaders is that we write the code to create that texture, that skin that goes around that mesh that covers a 3D graphic. So, which in the end is working with all of the pixels. And that's why I like to use the synonym yet again of pixel shaders to introduce people into a fragment shader.
So it's kind of a way to get to a level of detail that you cannot do with other programming languages, right? To create graphics, it gives you more control. I mean, that's kind of when somebody asks me, and what I'm hearing from you, that's what I think of. And what are they used, Ilithya? Because we mentioned artists and creative coders use it, but you told me from your work that you also have applied shaders in other aspects and in other industries. Can you tell us where are shaders applied, or where can they be used today?
Yeah, of course. So one of the applications, or two of the applications of shaders, it's, for example, on the web, in websites. We see shaders these days more and more in landing pages as a background animation of a texture. It's quite often used as that. So, and when we see it, sometimes we don't even see the 3D that I'm talking about. So we don't even might grasp the fact that actually there's a 3D graphic rendering this texture that we created with the pixel fragment shader, because it's a plane normally. But we also see it in other websites that maybe already have a 3D, like a gallery, and then in there maybe you have shapes and it's in there. That's one application. Another application of shaders within the art world, which is the reason why is two of the reasons that I decided myself to learn it 4 years ago on this journey, because I was already a front-end developer and I wanted to work more with 3D graphics on the web. And the second reason why I began to learn them is because as an artist, you can use them in physical world, in installations, to do projection mapping, for example, which is one of the things me as an artist I really enjoy doing, physical work of motion graphics. And there are different ways to do it. Like you can use only JavaScript and a library like P5, if there are creative coders watching this. But the reason why I learned shaders again is because shaders are more powerful than just doing JavaScript. And why is that? Because shaders run in the GPU, as opposed that when you just do JavaScript, or even if you were doing, for example, CSS for the web, all of this run in the CPU. And that's where the power lies when we hear from other shader creators that they are powerful, no? Because our GPU in computers runs in parallel the processes, instead of being sequential as in JavaScript, which is step by step.
Okay, yeah, that's why they are much powerful, as they say, because you get full control. Kind of, you can use the full control of the of your computer, your GPUs, right? And
yeah, well, the computer can manage more things at the same time. You know, instead of doing every task sequential and waiting for it, you are literally grabbing the pixels of your screen and manipulating in real time, right? So that's where the power comes, and then you can scale them. When I was talking about physical work, no, so using projection mapping, because you can really, like, if you're talking about a vector in SVG, a shader is the same. No, it's like a vector. You can scale it up to super big or super small. That's another power.
All right, so I mean, we'll do a live session now. We're getting close to that, and we can see Lithia in action, and you can actually see the outputs, right? What you can do with shaders. But just a reminder for everyone that's live right now or are watching this later. The ilithya created a course, a very detailed course about this technology. You can access it in the Academy by Blind Gallery, sorry about that, website. And if you are live right now, feel free to ask questions, either about shaders in general, or what you would like to see when ilithya starts to code. So she usually runs these live sessions, and I've been watching some of those, and they are really fun. So we will see ilithya now in action, as she plays with the code and controls the code to create these animations. So it's very interesting. So what have you prepared for today, Ilithya? What do you have in mind for this live session?
Well, I figure it would be cool, and since I'm used to do live streaming, but now I feel a little bit rusty. I was earlier talking with Eliza, with whom I do Curiously Minded. So hello, Eliza, if you're watching. We haven't done Curiously Minded now, I think, in a year, but we're gonna go back. By the way, if there are followers like you, Richard, that you're here, thanks for being here. We're gonna be back in the autumn to do this pair programming where we create shaders live spontaneously. And my idea was to do something like it, like I do in Curiously Minded, but more focus on the outputs that I created for the course. Because for everybody watching, this course is very basic. So if you are a shader master already doing ray marching, this is not for you. This is for new people that maybe have no clue about shaders and they want to learn it. Or they already work with shaders. Maybe you just started learning, I don't know, 3 months, half a year ago. It could be that you even have a year working with shaders, because this happened to me too. And I still felt very insecure when I was coding, and confused about things, because, and it was my feeling when I created this course, by the way, that when I would talk to other people that we were learning shaders, including Eliza, with whom I do Curiously Minded, we both would learn things from here and there, and then time would pass, and sometimes we would like give up a little bit and say, oh, I'm not doing this because it's so hard, I'm going to do something else. And then we would come back at it. And my idea with this course, then I tried to put everything together as I wish when I was learning, that I would find it somewhere that would guide me in a way that, for example, if I go and read a tutorial on pixel fragment shaders online, that I'm not fully lost. So that my idea with this basic course is that it will gives you the core basics of what you can do with pixel fragment shaders, so that then when you want to go and advance more, you shouldn't feel as confused and as lost. So
so it's a nice way to
organize.
organize. It's organized. It's a way to find everything you needed when you started in one place, right? So kind of you put all together kind of a nice summary, theory, practical examples. Okay. And for this session, what do you think is so when it comes to this example we are gonna run right now? So you will share your screen, right? And we can see the code and we can see the output.
Yes.
And people can suggest things that they want you to do,
people in the
right?
chat can, exactly, that's the idea. And should I go ahead and share my screen then? Should we
let's do it.
Do you think?
Let's do that.
Let me find here. So I'm going to share basically as well the way that I was teaching this course online when you looked at it. So this is the way that you will find me coding too in the course. Give me a moment.
Right, so this is very similar to how the course looks, right? Like pieces, like some of the chapters, in many of them, you're sharing the code, right? And the screen and talking over the screen, right?
Yes, exactly. So, which is very similar to, again, for the ones that have watched my stream with Eliza. So I tend to use CodePen for the ones that are watching already and they're wondering where am I going to do the live coding. I enjoy just using CodePen because I can code on the left and then see on the right. I know that there are other environments where I could do the same. But the good thing about doing it here is that, especially for this course, and that is maybe important to mention, that the focus of this course is for either people that works on the web or artists. And as an artist working digitally, or a person, a developer working on the web, then you definitely wanted to learn how you can then bind all of this together with code, right, for being rendered in the browser. And this is the reason too why I decided to teach it then in CodePen and maybe not in a shader editor outside, so that they can take a glance of which in here I can show a little bit. For example, there's the JavaScript that they can take a look at, CSS. I'm not going to go too in depth into that, but if you take the course, in the course I go a little bit into depth into that for the ones that want to learn, of course, how to apply it together with the rest of the stuff on the web.
And is this environment, so I see it says pro, is it, are there free environments, ilithya? You recommend to pay for an environment?
Yes,
what
actually,
are your thoughts here?
And now I'm going to make a free commercial, but I really love CodePen, this playground for front end. So CodePen is for free. Everybody can make an account and then it's for free. In fact, I'm currently teaching as well in person in a university, in a coding school here where I live in Germany. And to all of my students in the uni and in the programming school, I always ask them to create an account of CodePen because it's for free.
Okay.
And once you do that, you can create what it's called a pen, which is basically a sketch. And then you can write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as you see here. And the only difference is that CodePen has paid plans. I pay for the pro plan. And the difference is that if you pay for the pro plan, then I can hide some of these sketches so they are not public. Okay. So it gives you the freedom to make it private. And also because I'm teaching often, I can use features like pair programming. So I could send this URL, for example, to you, Ogo, or to somebody else, and then they could come and join the exact same file and code together with me. So
All right, that's interesting. So
That's the
it's
difference.
great for collaborations. It's great to share and collaborate. All right.
Yes, yes, that's why I like CodePen, because whenever I want to prototype really quickly, instead of creating the files locally on my computer, I like to maybe just jump in here, do something, and especially if I want to share the prototype idea to someone, no, because then it's saving a URL, so then you can just share and send it to someone. But I
Okay.
also use it a lot for pair programming with my
Fantastic.
students, and when I do curiously minded, this is how we pair program, Eliza and I too.
Okay. And so what are the first steps? I see, I'm a coder. I basically took your course over the past 3 months, but I'm gonna act like I'm a complete beginner, right? So what are we seeing now, Ilithya?
So this is basically HTML, and in HTML is where we create some tags to code what is our pixel. And as I said, if you're a programmer, you know it as a fragment shader, because you can see here in line 8 the type, which is an attribute in HTML. It's called a fragment. And you also see another shader here that is called xvertex. So we also need that in order to render our fragment shader.
Okay.
I would not go too much into detail, but in the course I do, so that you understand more about it. But for now, I will just say that you need both. So I wouldn't be able to see the fragment shaders if I wouldn't have my vertex shader here above.
Okay.
But because we're learning pixel shaders, the fragment shader, where I'm going to code is inside the script tag that belongs to that fragment shader. And here's where I'm going to write the code, which, by the way, shaders is not JavaScript, but we write shaders with GLSL.
Okay. And that's the name of the language. That's the name of the language. Okay.
Yes. GLSL stands for OpenGL Shading Language. Okay. So this is the standard for this language when you work with WebGL, which is the API that we can use on the browser to work with 3D graphics.
Okay. All right.
And yeah.
And
so here there will be the code that I will write to create something today.
And so if we use run this, what do we get? Is this supposed to do anything or not yet?
Yeah, it's doing something. So for example, right now I'm just outputting a color, so which is black, and then I could start by changing the screen into just a random color, so red.
Okay.
And for example, maybe for the people in the chat, we can ask them now. So for example, which can somebody say their favorite color, and maybe I can grab it and then output the color, because that's one of the first kind of hello worlds in shader world, no, to output just a color, because we're working with the pixels, we're painting this texture. So let's see if somebody can Manuel Arino. Okay, great. Manuel Arino suggests aqua. Okay.
Aqua.
So I'm gonna try to find the color aqua. I believe is we need first blue. I believe we need green.
Okay, so I see what you're doing. You're playing with the tree, and then you in your mind you're thinking, okay, what do I need to get aqua, right? So and you are playing with the exact parameters to get aqua. Okay, that's interesting. So that's left, center, and right. So what is left, what is in the center, and what is in the right?
What you call left, center, and right is like 3 values that you saw me tweaking is RGB, because RGB, that's how we're gonna work with shaders. We're gonna work with RGB values,
right?
And that's why when he mentioned aqua, or somebody else said turquoise, which I think is similar to aqua, you think of blue and green channels, and then there should be a mix of a certain amount of percentage or another different kind of value that you need to enter in order to create the color. And now maybe we can draw something, a geometry, which is another thing that I show in the course. So not only how to paint, and by the way, for the ones that are watching, maybe I'm not going too much into depth in explaining how am I coloring, because I could go more into that, but that's again in the course. In the
course is more detailed,
even longer. Exactly. In there, I would explain even with more detail about RGB, and I try more things. In here is just a little taste of what you might be able to see in the course, right? So, and then on another thing that you might learn in the course is to draw geometries, which I think is very important to kind of as well get the head around how with pixel shaders I can not only paint with colors, but also I can draw within it, you know. So I'm gonna ask again in the chat. I'm always going to give options, so nobody comes up with like, I don't know, draw Pikachu or something like this. So
yeah, something more simple. So a geometry form. So if you are,
so can somebody, if they can suggest like a circle or a square?
Yeah, you can also tweet. Yes, I'm trying to access the chat from Twitter, and I cannot access it. Let me see. I see that there are.
I actually don't see it.
160 people on Twitter. That's amazing. But I cannot see the chat over there. I can see YouTube. So if you want, if anybody wants a specific shape, just let us know. Let's maybe do a circle, Ilithya, while I get a chance to access Twitter chat. What about the circle?
Yeah, sure. I was trying to also see the chat, by the way, and I couldn't see it. So
yeah, I can see YouTube's chat.
Yeah, me too. Somebody suggested a polygon. That's too advanced. I'm not gonna do a polygon yet, but I will start with a circle with Hugo's suggestion. I'll leave that for the course.
Rectangle from Free Trades.
Oh, rectangle. Yeah, I will take that one actually. So polygon is just a little bit more advanced. Take the course, but I will take rectangular circle. So yeah, free trades. I will follow the shape that you are mentioning. So let's give it a go with a rectangle. And I'm not gonna explain right now. I'm just coding. I might not tell why am I writing max and apps, but yeah, maybe at this point you're tired. But yeah, if you take the course, then you will learn why I explain in depth why as well I write this type of mathematics in order to see something on the screen. So let's try to add it on the green channel. Here in both channels. And we sort of see something, right? So it's there. So this mathematics, by the way, I will not go into that as I said, but let's just say that the way that we can start pulling and pushing these pixels that we see on the screen to also not only output a color, but to see something happening like a geometry, is that we have to play with a little bit of mathematics to push the light that exists in the world of pixel shaders, because even when we work with this RGB world, we also are always in a coordinate system that goes from 0 to 1. That when I teach shaders, I enjoy to compare it as if you would have a room with light and a very dark room, a black pitch dark room. And then how with mathematics, you go from in between pulling and pushing light and darkness together, as we see here, for example, that we see a little bit of darkness that is like a cube at the moment. It's not a rectangle yet. So in order to do that, we need to use, and I'm using, by the way, when I'm coding, a lot of GLSL built-in functions.
So those are
So
pre-made functions that may make your life easier, right? So you don't have to write the whole thing. You can just use those functions that kind of abstract the complexity, right? And is that the step? Is that one of those pre-built functions? Step?
yes, exactly. And I don't know if you noticed, for example, right now I was coding and I was like, oh, why is it black? And I thought because I needed to make it smaller. And I was like, why is the screen black? Because when you're doing shaders, that's another thing. Debugging, it's
Mm,
always tough. It's not like in JavaScript as easy. So sometimes when you see a black screen appearing, most likely you made a typo and I forgot a
mm,
comma here. So GLSL is very unforgiving as opposed to when you write JavaScript. In JavaScript, sometimes you can forget a semicolon, for example, at the end of
mm-hmm.
the line of the code, and the browser will render the thing. But in GLSL, no. Look, if I delete the semicolon, I'm getting this black screen of death.
Wow.
And this is another reason why many people says that it's hard to learn shaders, because writing GLSL is not as easy as JavaScript. No, so you sometimes miss a typo, and then you're looking at your code and you're like, but what did I do wrong? Everything is correct. And if you
Yeah.
forget a dot, a semicolon, then yeah,
And
everything is
are
dark.
there any code editors that help you with that? Because I know that in Python and other programming languages, there are some editors that help with this kind of, mistakes. Is there anything like that for GLSL, or that doesn't exist?
Uh, Not to my knowledge, because I
Mm.
code, for example, myself in VS Code. As
Mm-hmm.
if there are, for example, especially other developers watching, maybe designers are a bit lost right now. But for other programmers, they know VS Code is an IDE that is for free from Microsoft, where we code anything, any language.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm mostly coding in there, but there's no fixing auto completing of when I write GLSL so far that I know. So
Okay.
in there, so it also happens the same, that I have to pay attention on.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's interesting. So how did you debug ilithya usually? Do you just have to, do you get any messages from in the logs, or you just have to read the code
Yes,
and recheck it?
in here actually, in here you do get, and I can show. Um, Let me see if we can see there right now in this console. So because there are errors showing, so you could debug it. You see now that I remove the semicolon, we see in the console something red. And if
Yeah.
we scroll up, we actually do get an error. And it says here that the fragment sharing is not compiled. And then you scroll down and it tells me that there's an error in a vector tree. And then I can see some lines of code, but it's not very specific, right? So it's pointing here an arrow, but still is not super specific. I know that somewhere around here then is the error. So that would be the debug. So in the browser, it is kind of tough, the debugger. But for
Yeah.
example, there are tools out there to create shaders, and this I don't share in my course because it's a little bit more advanced. Once you decide to, okay, I'm really gonna do shaders now. And I use personally a tool by Patricio Gonzalez Vivo, so the creator of Book of Shaders. He
Mm-hmm.
not only did create, together with Jan Lo, his wife, the Book of Shaders, but himself, he also creates some tools for us that we want to work with shaders. And he created a sandbox that is called GLSL Viewer. And
Okay.
basically, I use this kind of, it's called sandbox because no matter if you're on Mac, Windows, Linux, whatever, you can use this tool.
Mm.
And when I create my shaders that I was telling you that I code normally in VS Code, I would code in VS Code, but then I'm connected to this sandbox from Patricio, this tool. So if I make a mistake, like right now, Patricio logs in the terminal the error, which is a little bit better than this kind of like that there's a lot of lines sometimes of code pointing you
Right.
to, and you're trying to find it. So indeed, there are ways that are getting better, like specialized tools. No, so
Okay. Awesome. And so, Ilithya, what can we do next? I think some of the aspects of shaders that I really enjoy is when we can create these animations, right? That kind of go a little bit, yeah, like I remember playing with the code and then I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was changing. And so maybe, do you think we can add some movement, or do you want to do something before that?
No, we can totally add some motion. So yeah, and in fact, that's one of the things that I also teach on the course. No, I teach color. I teach how to do work with geometries and get your head around how you can work mathematics to push this slide that I was talking about. And then let us create a pattern then,
Okay,
and then apply some motion to it.
a
Because since
pattern,
right now
yeah.
we have only, yeah, because right now we have one element. So it'll be more interesting, I think, if we just convert this into a pattern so that we see more things happening on screen. So let us work with that. And again, I'm going to use some GLSL built-in functions to do so. So the things on the screen will start changing. I'm going to create a variable for what I would call a frequency. So that means that the repetition that we're going to see on the screen. So we
And
start seeing a little bit more of those rectangles, right?
yes, I can see the rectangles. If anybody wants anything in particular, feel free to suggest it in the chat. And
Yes.
it's so
So
you,
there it is. And maybe we can make a little bit more of them. So now we have some sort of like lines in here. And if we want to move them, then we can do something like this. And then we start seeing some motion, maybe a little bit slower so that we don't get tired in our eyes. So we
we
can
got.
move the lines
Can you
back and
create
forth.
a sponge Bob, Ilithya? So,
Of course, that's what I meant. If we ask them that, what can you suggest, they're going to ask for very random. And thanks.
yeah.
We're staying in the line of the simple things with
Hmm.
geometries.
So
But
here
it could be an
you
abstract.
added. Can you walk us through what you did? So you added more rectangles and you control their size, and then you added movement. So how 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 I can see the different functions. So where did you control the movement, Ilithya in particular? Where did which where in the code is that part?
In the line 22, and I'm going to delete it for a second. In line 22, this line of code was it's working with the x coordinate, so or horizontal coordinate. We can see it in here, that is ub.x, so that represents our x coordinate, right? So, and there's some mathematics in order to shape it as we see, kind of like a line. And it's
Yep.
in there where I wanted to move them along this x axis, that I can then use a clock, which is always available for us when we do shaders, so that we can apply motion. And that's here above this variable. And then I implement that variable that it's up here, this uniform, not variable, uniform, pardon me. And once I do that, and I did it in the wrong place, that's why everything disappeared. Once I add that to the x coordinate, then I'm able to move it from right to left. But if I would like to move it the other way, I would just, instead of adding the time to it, then I would subtract, and then I can go from the
The
other
other
side
way.
instead. Yes, yes. And if I want to go vertically from bottom to top, can you guess where should I put the time?
You're asking tough questions, Ilithya. I guess in the bottom. No?
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, I just mentioned that here we have the x coordinate. So you can see that here at
Yeah.
the bottom we have the y coordinate. So yeah, 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 very good, Hugo.
Yeah, but there weren't many options to be honest, like to get it wrong. But okay, so then you put it now in the y coordinate, and now it will move
Yes,
from top,
yes.
yeah,
Let me make it faster.
vertically.
From here, it can be a little bit faster. I just made it way too slow. So yes, exactly.
Hmm.
From now, it can move. Maybe we
And
can even leave it by default.
can you control like the columns and some of them moving up and some moving down? Like, how will you do that? Is that too complicated?
Yes, that watch my course in order to do that, but you can definitely control it. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that would require more mathematics. But what I could try here so that you can see is that at least we can try to add time to both coordinates and see what happens, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And when I
let's do
do
that.
that, you can see that if we apply time to both of them, then we have this kind of movement that goes towards the corner, right? Because we're pushing everything at the same time up and then
Uh,
towards, like, it's always moving like that. So when you move both coordinates at the same time, motion wise, at every pixel, then the movement is diagonal. That's why I
okay,
was looking for the word when you move from one corner to the other. So I will be at a diagonal movement. Yes.
nice.
Another thing we could try is maybe paint the rectangles differently. So that's another thing that I also you can see in the course, which
Mm-hmm.
let's base ourselves in something less complicated. So, for example, maybe people in the chat can choose two colors and then we can mix them together in
Mm-hmm.
here, because right now we only have this aqua and this black, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
maybe people
which
in the
colors?
chat can
Which colors
suggest.
should we use? Can you suggest which colors should we use? You can see the chat. I'm still trying to get the Twitter chat, but
But
so
you
we
don't
need
get
two
anything?
colors. Ilithia, we need two colors.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, we need two colors so people can vote into two colors.
Yeah. Let's see what people
Yellow.
say.
Oh, yes. I was thinking about yellow because somebody suggested SpongeBob, and I was thinking about the yellow color, and now somebody else said that.
Pink,
And pink.
Manuel, yellow.
Yeah, why not?
Neftali suggests yellow, and Manuel pink. And they're telling me on Twitter back when we were asking for shapes, they were
Yeah.
requesting hearts that we create a heart.
Ah, yeah, that's very sweet. That's also an advanced shape, so I will not do a heart for now. I will stay in the land of even simpler than a heart. Um, so vector 3 colors. So now let's try to mix all of this together. These two colors for now. See
Okay,
how
so you are
we.
mixing two colors. So you created yellow and pink. Uh-huh.
Yes, I
And
create two
now,
colors. And that's why I was asking, and then I just put them together with another GLSL built-in function in order to paint. One of them is painting the background, and the other one is painting the shapes of what we sort of did, like a rectangle, right? So, but in fact, we could make them squares. So if I remove this and I remove the frequency twice, I believe that we should be able to see sort of squares now, right?
yeah.
Instead.
And so were you when you say you put them together, so that's in the mix function, or
Yes, in the mix function. The mix function allows us to interpolate two values. So
Mhm.
we are interpolating. It's like the people coming from JavaScript. You use lerp to interpolate. Um, This is a term that you might be aware of.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We got an
I was
interesting
just reading a comment. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
interesting
Yes, sorry.
comment
I was reading a example because
from
the
Camille.
Yeah, I was reading that. That's why I stayed quiet because I was reading this comment. Yeah.
Yeah, basically it's the power of shader. So if we wanted to do this, Camille says it has no cost on shaders using GLSL, right? So if we wanted to do that with another language or another setup like P5, it will be very costly, right? Or so it would take
Yes,
more
yes.
power from the it would use a CPU. It won't be parallel, right? Can you tell us a bit about that, Ilithya? So um, that's one of the, I think
Yeah.
we mentioned that already, right? But that's one of the main reasons why shaders are so powerful, right?
Yeah, indeed, because the fact is that you don't have to wait for the next task to be done. No, so as I was saying, like the CPU or JavaScript works sequentially. So then normally the computer will wait for some tasks to be done, and then continue, and then continue, and then continue, and continue sequentially, step by step. And in shaders, you do it parallel. It runs parallel on the GPU. So that means that everything is happening at the same time. So nobody's waiting for anything, right? So
Okay.
it's like in real life when there are moments that we need to wait in order to get somewhere, maybe in line, for example, at the supermarket. There's no way that everybody can pay at the same time. That would be madness, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it takes more time. But there are other cases where maybe as people we can do things at the same time, and then we save time. So you can compare it like that. So.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's interesting. And what about, because you in the course you have some shapes, some outputs, um, that, so what people can expect, what they can build right from the course. Can you share a bit about that, Ilithya? So we saw kind of a very basic how shaders work. We built a couple of forms, shapes, and added some colors. Do you have some examples from what people can actually expect from the course and what they can create?
Yes, of course. In fact, I can share. Give me a moment. Meanwhile, you can still see my screen there. But I will share, in fact, again, this poster. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and reshare because I need to swap what I was sharing. Where is it? Oh, I have so many things open up. Select a tab to share. Where is it? Can I share my whole screen?
You cannot share it?
Yeah, I think I can share the. Oh, there, I found it. Yes. Now, so this is the poster.
Whoops, I showed I shared Camille's
Yes.
comment. I was just playing with
Yeah.
the options. Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine. But you can see, right, the outputs. This poster I created to promote the course because this is basically what you can expect to learn. In there, we find 24 graphics, around 24 graphics of different colors and shapes. So as I said, this is super basic to take you into understanding the core basics of how you can work with the pixels of the fragment
Yeah.
shader. And one of the things that I felt, for example, as I was saying myself when I was learning shaders, that I was really lost and it took me some time to connect the dots, was that with shaders I could not only manipulate color, This is why on the screen you see, for example, some outputs that they only have colors, gradients, for example, and I didn't even show in the live coding right now, but in my course, I go into depth into how to work with gradients, which are very pretty. You then have more of a spectrum of light happening, right? When we have a gradient like the outputs here. And second of all, the bend in the space, how we can bend in space to, even with color, think of creating geometries. So and that's the second part. And third part, apply repetition to it as you see some patterns in the outputs. So it could be like either like a grid as we did right now, or linear. In fact, some of the outputs in here, maybe it reminds you some of the artists working with shaders that you follow maybe on Twitter or on Instagram. Maybe some of them have created work based on this basics of doing pixel shaders. And then I teach you how to put everything together. So as you see in some outputs, there's not only a pattern, but we see a geometry on top of the pattern, or we see some gradient happening in both the geometry. So I will go into how to do that. So basically my idea with this course is that because I'm going to give you the very core basics of shaders, and you can feel that you have like what is it called, a Swiss Army knife, right? So that has a lot of things inside. Basically, that was my idea, to teach you all of these little things, so that then you, as a creative coder or an artist, you can put in the pieces together and draw whatever you feel like it. Have a better understanding how sometimes, for example, if in one of the outputs you see a square or a triangle or a circle on top of a pattern of lines, so I want to show you how sometimes when you draw one thing, you don't have to stop there, but you can draw another thing and then put it on top and layering up, kind of like if you have used Photoshop, you can come from design, or even just as a person, probably everybody knows Photoshop almost what it does, you use layers or Figma, and I'm showing how to layer up.
Okay, layer up. And I just shared the link to your Instagram, Ilithya, because you have been doing this one shader per day, right? Is that like a challenge? And you have been doing for a while, right? So people can see plenty of examples of what they can eventually accomplish, right? With shaders. Can you maybe share that?
Yes,
I just put the link.
That's why I stopped sharing. Yeah, that's a great idea. So let me share. So for the people that is out there, now you see my Instagram, right? So this is me, and at the top you can see some of my shader work in physical installations, as I was saying, that you can use if you learn shaders, how you can scale them up.
Nice.
One of them is actually a live coding session too, that I did with a musician. And maybe, in fact, for the people that is here and maybe don't even know who I am, because maybe some people in the chat already recognize my work from Instagram or for Twitter, or maybe you went to one of my physical workshops, but I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and I have a background, as I was mentioning, I've been doing front-end development for over 10 years, and became a creative developer working with WebGL 4 years ago. And when I did so, it was about around 4 years ago that I began my journey into learning shaders, and decided to also take a leap into doing digital art. And as I was learning shaders, I began the practice of creating a shader every couple of days. Call it myself the challenge any day shaders. Because when we want to learn something, there's no way to learn other than practice, right? And when it comes to using code, there are a lot of challenges of like 100 days of code, or I don't know, the Gen Art world makes in January, January I think it's called.
Yeah,
so you
January.
create every day of January, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but all of
Yes.
these challenges, including the January, kind of stresses me personally, because
Yeah.
you have to do every day. And so when I started to learn, I was like, oh, I don't think I would do it maybe 5 days, and then I was like with stress that I would drop the challenge.
Yeah.
So I began my practice by creating maybe once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, once a month. And eventually, with time, as everything else, it helps to get better at what you're doing. And then these days I do create sometimes daily,
Mm-hmm.
because it becomes easier, right? So, and especially when it comes as a creative coder, whether you're using shaders or P5 or whatever is your tech to go to create, the more you do it, the easier it gets, because you start shaping a little library for yourself, right? So that you have
Right.
little pieces. Even, I suppose, if you ask a painter that paints, sits in the studio to paint every day, right? So it's going to paint
Right.
much faster than a person that paints as a hobbyist twice a year, because since they're sitting
Right.
with the painting and the canvas, they can faster find their way, so this is the same. And it is my hope that, for example, the people that takes the course, if you haven't done shaders a lot, that maybe you can start your own journey of trying to create a practice, if you want to especially get better and better into using shaders into your own tool set uh, as a creative coder, that you practice and don't push yourself too hard. So just
Yeah.
however you feel to begin that practice, kind of. No?
No, that's awesome, Ilithya, and thanks again for sharing your knowledge. And in terms of I mean, these are fantastic. Can you share maybe one with the movement, because I think that's what some of these are. I mean, I know that this one is a static one, right? And this is a nice
Yes,
way
here is the
to.
moment.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Here is the moment. And for example, this one, if you watch my course, most likely then you will get into the head of how you can do these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
I will show more. This is another that has geometries, for example, and gradients. In all of my work, mostly I use a lot of motion, and a lot of people knows me for my work, that it's very I use a lot of noise, by the way. So for the people watching that maybe they have already seen my shaded work, I really love to work with noise, as you see here. I have a lot of shader work based on noise.
Noise.
But by the way, in the course, for the ones that maybe were expecting, oh, am I going to learn that you will not learn in this course, because that's a little bit more advanced, and I wanted to start from the beginning, from zero.
Mm-hmm.
Since a lot of the people who asked me to learn shaders, in fact, was beginners. A lot of
Okay.
people who either come from a design background were asking me, how could I do that? Can I learn that? So this is the course meant to go before this.
Yeah, and so how the extent of the course? I think it's 6 hours, right, Ilithya? Is it organized? How did you decide to organize it? And there are also exams, right? So can you tell us a bit about the content length and the yeah the exams? And for those wondering, it's available at academy.blindgallery.xyz. Um, you can see it in I just placed the link in the chat. But what about the
Maybe
length
I
of the
can
course,
share it.
Ilithya? You can, yeah,
Yeah,
actually, you
maybe I
can
can
maybe.
share it as we talk about it, right? So maybe I can put it on
Hmm.
the screen too, right here.
Exactly.
So you can see it in here. I'm just gonna pause the video, but yeah. So here you can see the course curriculum. So as I said, I've been working and teaching shaders since about maybe 2 years ago, and I've taught it so far physically in either workshops that I created myself independently or together with other artists. Like I did one, I think 2 years ago. It was not last year, with Computational Mama, who's another artist from India, who was visiting in Europe doing some things, and then together we pair up, and she taught P5 and I taught shaders. And then I also taught a workshop I think it was also 2 years ago when I met you, Hugo, in Mexico, with Bright Moments for the artists or creative coders that are connected right now from NFT world. I was with Bright Moments teaching shaders in Mexico with 3 other artists, with Juan, Mario, and Jorge, P5 and shaders. It was a whole week that we were teaching this. So I've been doing this on and off then, but teaching programming, by the way, for the ones that maybe as well have no clue and are wondering, for example, about my teaching skills, where I've been teaching just programming since 2016, 17. I used to run what it's called meetups here in Hamburg, where I live. And I used to co-organize what it's called Women Tech Makers. It's the brand from Google for women to network. And I was part of the brand of Women Tech Makers Hamburg in 2016, 17. So I was teaching a lot of workshops on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then eventually I ran my own meetup of creative coding for 3 years in Hamburg. It was a Codepen meetup where I would invite people that wanted to learn creative coding. And just like that, I've been sometimes invited in conferences to teach and talk about programming, CSS, HTML, JavaScript. And currently, just right now, for example, if you are wondering about if I'm still teaching, yes, I am. And I'm teaching in a university, a seminar for master and bachelor students. I'm teaching in creative coding. And in there, I'm not teaching them shaders because they come from other bachelors that are not related to programming. They come mostly from design master and design bachelor. So I'm teaching them P5, a little introduction into creative coding. And yeah, this is basically my background for everybody listening.
No, that's amazing, Ilithya. And what do you think about, like, so this is really like, you put this all together in a way that people can study on their own pace, right? And they can, it's not just studying, so there are also exams. And if you complete the exams, right? So if you pass, so every chapter has an exam, right? And you need to pass to get, I think it's over, so out of 10, you need to have at least 7 answers correct. And if you complete all the exams, you get a certificate, which is could be a PDF, but it's also as a soulbound token on the Tesos blockchain, right? So you can connect to the academy with your email or with your Tesos wallet, and if you complete the whole course, you can get the soulbound token in your wallet, and it will be displayed on the blockchain. And also, there is a challenge at the end where you can mint your creations, your experiments with the course to the Tesos blockchain, and you can find the instructions at the end of the course. What do you think of the exam levels, Ilithya? Is it very, very hard, or what do you think about that? Were you really tough?
But I tried to be kind, but at the same time, I wanted for everybody to feel that you learn, no? So maybe it's not super easy. But I built up this course. We broke it down into modules, and it's 5 modules, in fact. So in here, the welcome and the goodbye is just a tiny video, so I wouldn't count it as a module. So, but as the basics, as you see here in the screen, color, geometries, patterns, and motion, those are the 5 modules, and each of them have different chapters. So we try to break it down into smaller slots of videos, because when I've taught this in person, as I said, I can be in a classroom with the people, right, and talk, and then maybe we take a break for 10 minutes, then we continue, we go to lunch, we come back, and you talk and you talk, and you can talk all day. But then in video, I think it's different when we consume content, that we thought that it would be easier if we just try to create tiny videos in between 10 to 20 minutes. So not like a 2-hour long video. And that's why we figured to break it down into chapters. And also so that you can watch at your own pace. that, like you were saying, Hugo. So maybe somebody wants to watch this, for example, after work, and you don't have to do the course like in one evening, but maybe you want to watch 2 chapters and then the next day or next week, whenever you find time.
Yeah, I think it actually takes some time, right? Because it's 6 hours, but I will say it's also made in a way that you can go back, right? You can rewatch the videos, right? You can come back to a chapter maybe again in the future while you're coding, and it's kind of 6 hours in total content, but I believe it takes more time to actually complete the whole course, right? It's not one evening as you said.
I think so, because it's always like when I bought courses from other people too, it's the same. There's a length of the course, but it always kind of takes us double, because I think when we watch, or personally, at least me, if I'm watching a video, sometimes I pause and I rewind, like, oh, what did he or she said? And then I watch it again. So it's rarely that if I watch something in 2x, which you can probably do here too, if you want to listen to me speaking at double the speed, maybe then you can achieve to watch me faster. But it depends on what I'm learning, right? So if I don't speed it up, then it takes quite some time. But that's the idea, that you should be able to just have this in order to, when you find the time and the mind to focus on it, to do it. And with the exams, it's just a little challenge for the ones that want to take it, right? Because you can buy the course and maybe you're like, oh no, I don't want to do the test, and that's totally fine. The tests are there only if you want to challenge yourself and see if really you learn something with the course.
Yes, and some people have asked about the purchasing options. So first, there is a discount for the next week, as you can see on the screen. So for the next 7 days, 24% discount, and you can purchase this with a credit card. But also, if you want to buy with crypto, we support Tesos. So the Tesos blockchain, you can get the course at the same price. So it's adjusting automatically to the value of the dollar. So it will be the same price, and you can connect your Tesos wallet, and you can create an account also with the wallet. And if you want to pay with crypto, that's perfectly fine. And yeah, Ilithya, I think we actually went over the hour. I know it's shaders are very complex. I understand, firsthand, but I think this is a great way to get started, right? For the fundamentals. And as you said, I love that you can always come back to the course, right, in the future, and it has kind of everything really well organized. And you did a great job organizing the theory, which is very, very complicated when it comes to shaders. So really appreciate the time, Ilithya. This was fun. Maybe we should do more coding sessions in the future. And if anybody has questions, you can always send us a DM either to me, Ilithya, or the Blind Gallery account, and we'll happy to support you. Any last thoughts, Ilithya? Any last thoughts?
No, just a thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this with your platform, which, as I said, has been an ask by many of my followers for quite some time to put something online, and I'm just really excited to now see what all of you think. No, so I'll be super happy if you buy the course. If you would guide me, send me a DM on any of my socials and tell me what you think, because I'm really, really curious. As I said, I was encouraged to do this once because a lot of people ask me about how do I do my shaders, and two, because the physical workshops that I've been giving that I mentioned, I've always as well been giving very good feedback about my way of teaching. I'm a, maybe I didn't say that, but I'm a self-taught programmer. So when I teach, I tend to teach different than a person that has a background in software development. No? So, and I think this is what I've been told, that it is my hope that because I have this other way to explain things, some people digest it better. No? So, because I think as humans, we all sometimes find resource that works better for us. No, so and this is a course that is meant for hopefully people that if you struggle with very like high level language explanations, mine lowers down in order to enter into shaders.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's good to know.
and
That's good to know because yeah, programmers sometimes are very, very technical, right? So when you're starting to
exactly,
code,
it's very high level
yeah.
language, and if you don't come from a software development or computer science degree, for example, no, so and even maybe there's people that didn't have a degree but they learn by themselves to computer science and a lot of this high level language, I would call it,
Yeah.
when and technical. So what my approach, because I know that there's people that teach already in that level and I let them be because that's how it is, right? So and my approach then is to teach in a more low basic way when I teach programming. So and yeah, thank you again, and I really look forward to hear the feedback. And also another thing for the people that will take the course, I'll be super happy if you start creating then some sketches and then share it with us on social media and tag Blind Academy and myself and tell us like, hey, I took the course and this is what I did. It would be amazing. Or if you mean something on FX Hash somewhere,
On
please as
object.com.
well let us know. Or,
Yeah, on both.
or on
On
object.com.
both.
Okay.
Yes, object.com or fxhash, both will be great. Yeah, we'll love to see your creations and even your sketches, as Ilithya said, or your sharing on social
Yeah.
media. That will be great. So thanks again for it. Anybody that turned in, was a fun stream. And if you if you have any questions, just reach out. And I think that's it. Thank you,
I don't know
Ilithya.
what Warpcast is. Thank you. They're inviting me, but I think it's a blockchain thing, right?
No,
Isn't it?
Warpcast is a social network. I recommend it as well. It's a client, a decentralized social network. There are many artists in there, Ilithya, as well, and there are people sharing
Okay.
some shaders. Actually, I've seen some artists sharing some interesting
Okay.
shaders there. All right. Thanks
All
so much,
right.
Ilithya. Take
Okay.
care.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. So have a nice evening or afternoon, whatever you are. Yeah.